What's up, guys? My name is Eric, aka Azraeleternity, and welcome back to the MineSanity server. Today we are going to be building the MineSanity Trading Post, which I have been planning on doing for quite a while, but just haven't gotten around to it. We're going to be building it right behind the post office inside the spawn village, and the main reason that I was trying to figure this thing out was whether or not to put it in the spawn village or whether or not to put it in the Nether hub. Reason being is the Nether hub, I would expect it to be slightly more noticed. More people would visit it more often because they're traveling through the Nether. Not a lot of people uh, come to the spawn village specifically, but I hope this will bring them to it. The audio commentary that you're listening to is being recorded after the fact, and that is because I have a specific topic I want to talk about, and whenever I try to talk about specific things and try to be concise and have good information and all of this and that, while recording a video, while doing a build, it never works out. So I decided that in the interest of being informative and concise, that I would record the video prior and talk to you guys after I've done the video. So the topic that I want to discuss with you guys today is about emergency preparedness. And the reason I'm talking about this is because on the heels of Hurricane Sandy, which has been an extremely devastating natural event in the U.S. history, I think that it's probably a good idea to bring it up. That people should consider emergency preparedness and be prepared for eventualities. Myself personally, I live in California. I live in Sonoma County of California, and California is prone to earthquakes, and we have been due essentially for one, as I understand it, for quite a few years now. We've been due for a catastrophic earthquake. So I've started to take preparations for myself and my wife and my family to be prepared in the event of an emergency. And there's three main steps for emergency preparedness. There is information, there is supplies, and there is planning. Information is an important thing because if you don't know what you're doing or know where to go or what to do, then all of the other stuff doesn't really matter all that much. If you don't have a plan, then the supplies and the knowledge are useless. And if you have a plan and you have the knowledge, having the supplies isn't going to help. Not having the supplies is not going to be a big help. Now, I'm not saying, crying wolf and saying, oh, we should go out and buy all of these supplies and everything, get it as soon as possible because it could happen tomorrow. While that is true, and it could happen tomorrow, I could also win the lottery tomorrow, even though I didn't play it. I could be struck by a car tomorrow. Any number of things can happen. That's the law of probability. Things can happen, and being prepared for them, I think, is something that everybody should be concerned with. So I'm going to give a couple of reference websites, most specifically ready.gov, which is the official government website for emergency management, stuff like that you guys should just check out, get an idea of what I'm talking about. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to be discussing is going to be pulled right from their website. So, yeah. So the first thing about emergency preparedness for me, I started doing kind of supply gathering, making sure that I had stuff on hand in my house in the event of an emergency. Now, supplies like currently I have about a case and a half of bottled water, which actually is kind of low for me. Usually I have probably 3 or 4 cases of water. I live in a little one-bedroom apartment, so it does take up a lot of space. So that's kind of why I'm limited in how much I can do. However, I also have a bunch of dry soup mixes. I have canned soups. I have canned meats, canned vegetables, canned fruits, pastas and sauces that are boxed or jarred. I have a bunch of emergency medical supplies. I am first aid, CPR, and AED certified. AED, for those of you that don't know, is Automated External Defibrillator, I think it stands for. Basically, it's a defib that does everything for you. You just have to follow simple directions. So getting certification for it isn't really a big deal. But all of those certifications are through the American Red Cross, which I will get to later. But I'm trying to go to my notes. I should have prefaced, and I will preface now. A lot of emergency preparedness information can be found online for free, but take it as it is. It is information that you're getting from the internet. And no amount of info can replace actual hands-on training, training from certified professionals, which I am not. I am not any sort of certified instructor for emergency preparedness. I am not an emergency management employee, anything like that. So the information that I'm giving you is strictly from my personal experience and should be taken as a guy rambling on the internet. But with that, stating that, information, be subjective with it. No amount of information, like I said, can replace training. However, the information that you gather is very vital, because, especially if you have a good memory, because information is lightweight, it is compact, and if you have a good memory, you can take it with you everywhere without any problems. Me personally, I don't have a very good memory, and so I tend to ramble and not know what I'm talking about. No, I tend to make little 4x6 refresher cards in specific things, and laminate them and put them in kits. Like how long should water boil before it's safe to drink? Things like that. How do you do? I wouldn't say how do. I'm using it as an example. Do not do this. How do you make a tourniquet? Tourniquets are very. I don't like them. But that sort of information like that. I'm going to bounce over to the ready.gov website. And right on the website, I'm not going to be showing it, but there's a bunch of little buttons that you can put: be informed, make a plan, build a kit, get involved. I personally don't get involved. my emergency preparedness is for me and my family. But being active in your community and knowing what's going on is a good thing. But being informed can be as simple as checking the weather, watching the news for any sort of emergency notifications. Going on to ready.gov, they have a little thing right on the front page, preparedness notifications, which currently has stuff about Hurricane Sandy, what they're calling Superstorm Sandy, because that's the latest sort of emergency. Making a plan, being able to plan your risks, knowing what your location is and what emergencies are relevant to your location, and if you have any special considerations for persons in your family, like if you have anybody that requires specific medication, specific needs, things like that. Those are something that you have to consider, and build a kit, basic supplies, how to maintain it, and where you should store it. So I'll go into information is readily available. I'll try to put some links in the description of websites you can check out, as well as some forums that you can join that advocate for emergency preparedness and can give you a lot of more information that I will ever be able to communicate in a 30-odd minute video. But we'll go into the basic supplies. I'm going to be reading this checklist right off of the website. Recommended supplies would be water is one of the most important, because while you may be able to go 2 weeks without actual food, you can only go approximately 2 days, depending on location, without water. So it's vital to input, as they put it, 1 gallon of water per person per day for at least 3 days for drinking and sanitation. Now this should be potable water, which means that it's already clean, it's good to go. You don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to filter it. You don't have to bleach it or anything, try to purify it. This is just straight water that you can consume or use for your personal sanitation. Food, at least a 3-day supply of non-perishable food. Like I said, I use powdered soup mixes. I have canned soups, canned fruit, canned vegetables. It's good to have a variety, and it's also important to have foods that you will eat on a regular basis. Don't get something that you have never eaten before, you have never tried, and because if the time comes, it'd be good to have something that you will actually want to eat, not something that is just going to be sitting on that shelf until it expires and then you're going to throw it away, because you need to cycle through the food, and try to keep a rotating stock of things. Like the soups I go through, I'll pull all of the old soups or the most recent purchases to the back and the older purchases to the front. That way I use the older items first. Battery powered or hand crank radio and an NOAA weather radio with tone alert and extra batteries for both. I currently have 3 hand crank radios that 2 of which have the NOAA weather band, which means that if you hit that button, it'll automatically be broadcasting local weather emergency information from. I can't remember what NOAA stands for. I apologize, but um, a lot of them have flashlights built in. They have regular AM, FM radio stations built in, and a lot of them have a plug that you can put a USB charger into. So you can hand crank charge your cell phone, which is an important thing to have. Flashlight and extra batteries, can't emphasize this enough. While I recommend flashlights, I also recommend headlamps, ones that you can strap to your head, so that you can have both hands free while you are doing what you're doing. That way you don't have to constantly be holding a flashlight or putting it in your mouth to try to manage stuff. A good mix, high lumens, is always good, but that also means that it drains the battery faster. But I would not recommend anything with a halogen bulb. Those are old, they do not produce enough light, and they consume batteries way too quickly. Find something that has a high efficiency LED, whether it be a single LED, for example, I have TechLight, Cree XP LED, or XD LED flashlights, and those use 3 AAA batteries, and it puts out at max 200 lumens. I'm currently looking towards getting another set that actually goes up to 250 lumens. And I have several headlamps. A first aid kit, which I'll go into more detail in a second because first aid is a very big subject. Whistle and other items to signal for help. Some people have these very expensive, like $100 or $200 laser flares, and those are really neat. But a whistle will do a lot, because since hearing is something that you can always do, seeing is always line of sight. You don't have to have line of sight to be able to hear a whistle, and a whistle will produce a lot of sound for very minimal effort. If you can't scream, whistle. And I would highly recommend, if you're in any sort of emergency, if you have a whistle, don't scream, because screaming will not carry. Whistles do. Dust masks, plastic sheeting and duct tape to help reinforce a shelter if you have to build a shelter in place, and preventing any sort of contaminants from getting into your lungs. Things like dust and those sorts of particles get into moist towelettes, garbage bags, and plastic ties for personal sanitation. This basically means you're going to poop in a bag. A 5-gallon bucket is also useful so that you have actually something to sit on. Wrench or pliers to turn off utilities. I recommend a variety of tools. Having a regular full thing of toolbox that's in your home, that is fairly easily accessible. I have one that is under my kitchen sink and a smaller one that is under my bathroom sink, so that in the event that I need to turn off utilities in my apartment, I can. And it has a variety of tools in there, wrenches, pliers, screwdrivers, hammer, all that sort of stuff. Manual can opener for food. If you want to go full out, you can buy a whole 100 or so P38 manual can openers from Army issue or whatever, Army surplus stores, and those will get you a lot. But I use just little, handheld crank can openers, and those work fine. Fairly durable too, and I get them pretty cheap. I can usually find them for like $2, and you can find cheap ones at like IKEA if you have one nearby. Maps of your local area. This is something that I need to improve on because I only have like a Thomas guide, which doesn't do any sort of real topographic. So I need to personally improve upon my local maps and being able to identify routes to get out. Cell phone with charger, inverter, or solar charger. Chargers are always a good thing to store with your cell phone. That way you can just grab it with your phone and charge it, when you get to some sort of aid station. There's a couple of pictures from New York that these folks they had brought out a couple of extension cords running out from their house that had a bunch of power strips attached to it, and had the power strips hanging from their fence with a big sign that says, "We have power, feel free to charge your phone," which I thought was a really cool thing for people to do, because communication is such an important thing during and after an emergency. Being able to let people know that you're okay, that you're all right, that you've made it to some sort of aid station, or you made it out of an emergency area. So those are very good things to have. Other things to consider, like I said, if you have people with specific needs, need prescription medications, or if you have babies, infant formula, and diapers, pet food, which is something that I try to stockpile as much as I can. I have a bunch of watertight containers that are food quality. So if I need to, I can hose them out and I can use them for regular food storage. So pet food and extra water for your pet. Cash. I don't recommend traveler's checks, but you can if you want. Cash and change so that you have, if power is out, like what happened in New York and New Jersey, you have cash on hand so you can purchase things. If power is down, you can still have cash to purchase things. Change, obviously, for like using a payphone, something like that. Family documents should be included, and there's a variety of documents that you should include. Things like photos of your property, copy of your lease or homeowner slip, pink slips for your car, any sort of like valuable documentation that you would want. Have copies of those available in your emergency kit, so that you can show who you are and you can show what is yours. Emergency reference materials such as a first aid book or free information that you can find on a bunch of different websites. Good things to have. Sleeping bag. I recommend, if you can afford it, a 4-season 0-degree or better sleeping bag. That way that it works in all weather situations and it'll keep it really warm. Complete change of clothing. Chlorine bleach and a medicine dropper. This is to purify water. It says when diluted 9 parts water to 1 part bleach. Bleach can be used as a disinfectant, or in emergency can be used to treat water by using 16 drops of regular household bleach per gallon of water. Do not use scented, color safe, or bleaches with added cleaners. Fire extinguisher. I have a couple of little small ones. Fire extinguishers are not typically made to put out fires. They are made to create an evacuation point somewhere, a way that you can get out and never let yourself be backed into a corner by a fire. Matches in a waterproof container, feminine supplies, mess kit, pencil and paper, and stuff to keep yourself occupied. First aid kit. I'm starting to run out of time. I'm already at 19 minutes. Wow. First aid kit. Obviously, a regular boo-boo kit, regular band-aids, neosporins, gauze, antibiotic, burn ointment, eye wash solution. Like you can use regular eye wash or use like a saline solution, something like that. Thermometer, prescription medications such as insulin, heart medicine, and asthma inhalers. And make sure to keep them up to date. While medicine, when it gets to the expiration date, loses potency, it does not make it in most cases. And again, this is guy on the internet. Don't take my advice for 100% fact. As I understand it, when it expires, it just means that it'll start losing its potency. It is not necessarily harmful to still take. I have Tylenol and Advil that is probably 6 to 8 months to a year expired, and I still take it, and I'm not dead yet. But again, guy on the internet, don't take everything I say for fact. Non-aspirin and aspirin pain relievers, anti-diarrhea. I am very careful with anti-diarrheal because if you do not take that correctly, it's going to screw you up. If you take too much, you're going to clog up, and if you don't take enough, then it's not going to even do anything that's worthwhile. You're still going to have diarrhea, still going to feel awful. If you take too much, then you're going to clog up, and you're probably going to have like a kidney stone or something like that. So be careful with diarrheals. Antacids and laxatives. Laxatives, same thing as the anti-diarrheals. Be very careful with those. Scissors, tweezers, and petroleum jelly are other lubricants. Yeah, that's pretty much all the basic survival kit. Make sure to maintain your kit. Like I said, cycle things out, and make sure to keep things rotated. Make sure that the newest stuff is being used last. You always want to cycle that sort of stuff, especially for food and medicines. Having a good stockpile is always a good thing. Having more than you need isn't necessarily a good thing, but not a bad thing. Like myself personally, I have a lot of pasta, more pasta than I'll probably end up using. So I'll take probably. It expires about midway next year. I'll probably take about half of it and go to the food bank and donate it probably in January. Is what I end up doing. I do a lot of couponing, which sounds funny, but I do a lot of, not like the extreme couponing like they do on the TV shows, but I do couponing to a degree, and I buy a lot of stuff. Like for example, I have 17 body washes, which I use. I mean, I use my body wash. But I just stock it up so that I don't have to really worry about it. I pay very little for it, and I have it. But couponing is a lot easy way to do. If you need first aid supplies, I highly recommend go to your local Walmart. Curad is a very good brand that is reasonably priced. And you can actually find Curad coupons online for like 50 cents off a bunch of their product, like any Curad product. And so my wife and I use tons of those, and they don't have any sort of print limit on it. Like most coupon websites issue a print limit of 2 coupons per computer. The Curad one does not have any limit, and so I've been using it for buying like hydrogen peroxide, which is less than $1. I've been buying a bunch of regular band-aids with it, which are less than $1. Getting a lot of stuff that's like half price essentially. Look out for sales and check out stores that are online. There's no one store that is better than the others. You can find supplies on eBay, you can find supplies on Amazon, you can find supplies everywhere. So I realize that supplies kind of took up the bulk of this conversation, but the other important information is having a plan, knowing what sort of emergency things are in your area. The easiest way to know, you can check ready.gov, and they have information for you there. That'll kind of give you a general guideline of if you have this emergency in your area, this is what you should do. These are the sort of things that you should be prepared for. Another good resource, though, however, is go to your local emergency management webpage. And the easiest way to do it is, depending on like if you live in a metropolitan area like Los Angeles or New York or Jersey City, giant, not Jersey City, but metropolitan areas, Los Angeles, Sacramento, New York, Dallas, real big metropolitan areas. They probably have a city website, if not a county website, if not a state website. So you can probably type in, like for example, I would type in Sonoma County Emergency Management, and that would pull up a website. I'm going to type it up right now. Sonoma County Emergency Management. And it pulls up sonomacounty.org/fire and fire and emergency services. And this will give you a lot of information about and be able to tell you what sort of emergencies to expect in your area. Like, for example, major threats in Sonoma County: earthquakes, flood and winter storm, landslide, and wildland urban fires. They also include things like terrorism, biological attacks, stuff like that has happened in the state of California, not necessarily in Sonoma County. And it'll tell you like specific things and when they have happened, like what recent threats are going on. So those are also very good things. And they can even, like the county website for us, even breaks down stuff for your emergency kit as well. So you can always pull from multiple sources to get a better idea of what needs to be worked on. We're wrapping up right now. I'm going to do a quick tour of the finished trading post. I hope you guys found this information informative. I hope it helped maybe a little bit, brought something to light that you hadn't thought about. I'm showing because I had built the exterior wrong and then I had built the interior wrong. But how it's going to work is there's 2 slots for each type of item, a buying slot and a selling slot, and there's 6 signs that you can swap out. And it's broken down into like woods, blocks, ores, food, weapons and armor, tools. I think behind me is redstone. Oh, I needed to make an axe for that one. Did I go make one? I thought I gave up on it. I think I gave up on it. Oh, because I put the iron away. So redstone is over on this one, and then there is potions over there, and this is rare, uncommon, and rare items are what I referred to it as. So things like slime balls, glowstone, records, stuff like that that's hard to find, and then potions. Approval of the MineSanity server. Let me know if you want to change any of those. My followers, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it informative. Like I said, I'll put links in the description for more information for you guys, and hopefully you guys can have learned something from this video. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!